Welcome, Kimball. As much as many of us would like to stop being Fed watchers, it seems like expectations around when they might cut is dominating equity market action again. What's your outlook on this as well as for inflation as we go forward?
I think that the narrative sort of has shifted a little bit, and it's become more about don't fight the Fed as opposed to let's try to pick when and how much the Fed will cut, and that is a result of some reasonably positive economic news that we've had. We've had very easy financial conditions since the beginning of the pivot in the third quarter of last year. We've seen some reemergence of animal spirits in the form of things like higher M&A, better issuance volumes in some of the capital markets. And so I think there are some reasons for the optimism because inflation has been contained and decelerating. But there have been a number of Fed officials equally who said, look, we'd like to see a pattern of stability around prices, especially around the service side of the economy, which has been sort of high and sticky. And so we'll see how this balance sort of evolves over time. But I think one of the other things to remember is that this is a normalization. We're not going to be plumbing new depths in terms of rates. And I think if one thinks of it that way, I think you can be a little bit less enthusiastic.
I'd like to shift to the corporate fundamental level. So we're about halfway through earnings season. In your view, are the earnings coming in enough to justify the valuations in markets, particularly in the United States?
Well, it's true that the earnings have been decent, and they've been sort of across different sectors. They've been pretty good. The one thing I'd say is that the valuations, at least in the U.S. that you mentioned, are sort of full by historic standards, and that's even if you exclude the so-called Magnificent Seven, or you look at an equal weighted S&P. In just about any way you slice it, they're pretty full. Now, the market, the equity market, is in a sort of a state of the world where there are reasons to believe that there's some support for it. We're probably at the end of a hiking cycle. We're in the middle of a presidential run up to a presidential election. On the other hand, it's hard not to believe that the level of fiscal stimulus and monetary stimulus, which is going back to COVID and prior to that even, have not had an impact on corporate profitability. And so when we look bottom up, we're very careful to derive a margin of safety in terms of the prices that we pay, and we're not looking at peak earnings or peak margins. We're trying to look through the cycle to sort of look through this stuff. So I think the story is a bit mixed. The earnings have been okay. At this point in the cycle, we're probably all right. But I think at some point, things are going to normalize, and we'll see what the kind of fallout that brings.
Well, thank you very much for your thoughts, Kimball. Look forward to speaking to you next month.